You know what time it is. Just a few days ago, the TCG finally got the release of Darkwing Blast. A lot of people are excited for Darkwing Blast, but I'm here for one reason, and one reason only. Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle is finally here. Now with Lady being in the TCG along with the other Labyrinth cards, the Labyrinth strategy just climbed up a few notches, you know what I mean? So I've been really looking forward to playing this deck for a long time now, and today I'm giving you guys a sample deck profile. With the Labyrinth strategy really relying on normal trap cards, there is a lot of ways how you can go towards this build, but this is the way how I decided to play it. Let's just get straight into it. Welcome to the Labyrinth. Alright, today's deck profile is going to be on Dueling Book, so because I'm still experimenting with some cards and I don't have all the cards just yet, so this is just my way of how to play the deck right now. So here we go, right over here, boom, look at that, looking really nice and trap-like, you know. So for the Labyrinth cards, we're playing one copy of Lovely. You don't need to play any more than one, in my own opinion. For me, is a brick, and you want to summon this card off of the Welcome Labyrinth. So what this card does is that your opponent cannot respond to the activation of your normal trap cards with monster effects, which is actually pretty big, knowing the fact that more than half of the times your opponent's interruptions are monster based, right? They set up board, they have negates on board, they have hand traps as well, which are mainly monsters. So as long as your opponent has those cards, they just can't activate them while Lovely's on the board, so which is actually really good. And once per turn, you can target one normal trap card in your graveyard and set it directly to field. Now with these Shizu cards coming out, most of these cards mill both decks, so you're gonna see a lot of your normal trap cards within your graveyard. And as you see here, there's a couple trap cards that is worth setting off of the Lovely effect, especially one card over here, which is Eradicator Epidemic Virus. A lot of people are playing this card right now because there are a lot of deadly spells, and then there's a myriad of trap strategies out there which would mainly harm their opponent, or your opponent has a very terrible matchup with. So Epidemic Virus is actually really good, especially when it comes to like going second and everything like that. I'm even main decking it right now because there are just really those spell cards that just kind of causes deck problems. So honestly really good, and the fact that you don't have to worry about tributing a monster within 2500 or more attack, because you see right here your Lovely has more than that, and Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle has more than 2500 attack. And this effect is not that relevant, but when it comes up, it comes up. When a monster would leave the field because of the normal trap effect, you can destroy one random card out of your opponent's hands, which is actually really good. The next card we're playing is triple copies of Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. I decided to play 3 of these. I was debating within 2 or 3, but my boy Matt kind of just justified playing 3, right? You want to see this card in your hand, right? I don't really want to summon this card, summon Lady off of the Welcome Labyrinth. Well, I'm trying to summon the Lovely off of the Welcome Labyrinth because it's only a 1-of, right? And you don't want to see it in your hand. So when you activate a normal trap card, while this card is in your hand, you're able to special summon this card in defense position. And another effect, when you activate a normal trap card while this card is on field, which is a quick effect, you're able to set another normal trap card from your deck to your field, but it has to be a different name than what you activate. So you activate Torrential Tribute. I'm not playing it as a deck. You can set any normal trap card that's not Torrential Tribute, for example. And really good thing right here, while you control a set card, not just a spell or trap card, a set monster as well is included, this card cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is actually pretty good, especially the fact that this is pretty beefy as well. The starters, we're playing triple copies of Ariana of the Labyrinth Servant, and technically the pink Ariane is a starter as well. For me, Ariana is just my 4th copy of Ariana, so that's honestly my main reason why I consider it a starter. So with Ariana, when this card is normal special summon, you can add 1 Labyrinth card from your deck to your hand. So Welcome Labyrinth, Lady Labyrinth. So those 2 main cards right there is what I would add, or even the field spell. I found myself adding the field spell a couple times. It's actually really good. And this effect doesn't come up as much, but when it does, really good. If another monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect, you can draw 1 card, then apply the effect. You can special summon a Fiend monster from your hand, or you set a spell, set one spell or trap card. Yeah, I just had to read that again. So, where I did say that Lovely is a brick, but if you were to open up the Lovely, you can get it off your hand with this effect, and the same thing goes for the pink as well. It's the same effect with that one as well. If another monster leaves the field because of your normal trap effect, you draw a card, either set a card or special summon a Fiend monster. And the thing about Orion, why I still want to play it, I can send one normal trap card from my hand or that's already set on field to the graveyard to special summon one level 4 or lower Fiend monster. So basically, your Oriana triggers off a special summon as well. So I thought it's worth playing the Oriana as the Orion with the Oriana, and especially that we only have 2 rank 4 Fiends, but they're still really good cards, so might as well, right? And for the last Labyrinth monster, we're playing the Chandelier. I don't know how you pronounce that name, but I thought that Chandelier was the best card. I'm not sure which one is the other one. I'm gonna put it right here. It has the same effect where you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and discard one card. You're able to set one Labyrinth spell or trap card from your deck. So say as if you open up this card against your opponent while you're going second, you can just activate the Chandelier to just basically automatically get a Welcome Labyrinth on your board, where you can activate within like the start of your turn, which is actually pretty big, right? And the second effect doesn't really come up all that much when it comes to testing, but if a Labyrinth card, a Labyrinth card effect or a normal trap card requires a card to go from hand to graveyard, you're able to activate this effect while it's in graveyard. You can add it back to hand. So the main card that really comes up with this, I think actually no, forget that. I'm not sure, honestly, but if this effect comes up, it really does come up. It's just reoccurrence as well, so pretty good. For the Labyrinth spell, we're playing only 2 copies of the Labyrinth. I only decided to play 2 because basically Metaverse is searchable in this deck, as you see that we're playing right here. So honestly, just the 2, because you add it off with the Oriana. Sometimes you just activate immediately from your from the effect of Metaverse as well. And this card's really good. When you activate a Welcome Labyrinth, you're able to add this additional effect to it. After that, destroy 1 card on field, non-target destruction. I like that a lot. And if you activate a non-Labyrinth normal trap card, you're able to special summon 1 Fiend monster from your hand or graveyard as well, which is another way how to get rid of that Lovely from your hand. Or if it's in the graveyard for whatever reason, just summon it back, you know? Really good right there. And for the last card, the last Labyrinth card, we're playing triple copies of Welcome Labyrinth. Welcome Labyrinth, really good card. This is the card that really locks you into Fiends, which is why the extra deck you see here, you see some Fiends being played, because until the next turn, so more than half of the time, you're going to be activating this during your opponent's turn, and during your turn as well, you're still locked into Fiends. So this is why the extra deck poll is a little weird, right? You special summon 1 Labyrinth monster from your deck. Until the next turn, you cannot special summon Fiends. And the second effect here is that if a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect while this card is in graveyard, you can set it back, which is actually really good. So more than half of the time, I summoned the Lovely, as I mentioned before. So really great card right there. That's going to be it for the Labyrinth cards. And after this, you can basically put in whatever you want. Just put in your myriad of normal trap cards here, and you will be having a good time, you know? So I decided to add the Dogmatika engine because more than half of the time I don't really touch my extra deck all that much, and the Dogmatika cards lock you from the extra deck, so it is something that you really don't mind. So I'm playing 1 copy of Ecclesia, 1 copy of Fleur-de-Lis. Fleur-de-Lis doesn't come up all that much, but if you open up the Ecclesia, and if you're not locked into Fiends, it does come up. And what I mean by if I open up the Ecclesia with the Nadir Servant, I just can't activate it, right? So I might as well add something off of the Nadir Servant. And the newly unlimited Nadir Servant, really great card right here, especially the fact where you don't really need your extra deck. You can put in a lot of cards that does things in graveyard when you send it from extra deck. So like as you see here, we have Ensis, we have Titaniclad, we have Totally Awesome. So send any of those cards from your extra deck to the graveyard and add one Dogmatica card. So either Ecclesia or Fleur-de-Lis. And Dogmatica Ecclesia, when summoned, you can search a Dogmatica card. So Fleur-de-Lis or Punishment. And Titaniclad, same thing, but during the end phase, when this card is sent there, you can add one Dogmatica card. So either Punishment or Fleur-de-Lis. And we're playing double copies of Dogmatica Punishment. As I mentioned before, you don't really need to go into your extra deck all that much, so you don't really care about the extra deck lock because you already have big beaters anyways. So yeah, it's really good. And the same thing as I said before about the Nadir Servant, you have all these cards in your extra deck that does separate effects when they're sent to graveyard. So honestly, Dogmatica Punishment is just a +1 in my book. We're playing double copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Same thing as Lovely, where as for this one, a spell or trap card is activated, you're able to summon this card from hand. But when it was revealed, you were able to set a spell or trap card directly from deck. So something that I've done lately is that I beginning of my turn, if I'm going second, right, I would just activate Lord, reveal, set Nadir Servant, activate Nadir Servant or Pot of Prosperity or anything like that, right, and then just set the other one. So honestly, I actually like that a lot. It just pushes a lot of pressure on board as well. And the main thing why I'm playing this is because that it just protects your back row, your set back row, and your set monsters as well. So, which is actually really good. And if your set back row cannot be destroyed, then that means Lovely cannot be destroyed by card effects or targeted as well. So honestly, it's just a pretty good combo right there. Pot of Prosperity. I've been playing a lot of Pot of Prosperity ever since they got released into the tins. But if you cannot afford the Pot of Prosperity, you can just play Pot of Extravagance. The only thing about Pot of Prosperity that I like better is the fact that you don't need to activate this as your first card, whereas Pot of Extravagance, you need to activate this as your first card. So that's my thing right there. And also with Pot of Prosperity, you choose. Pot of Extravagance is random. You draw 2. You mill, technically excavate 6 to get 1. So honestly, whatever you prefer, go ahead, right? We're playing the one Mystic Mind because whenever it comes to those stall games like that, or if you just don't have the right setup, and off of the Metaverse as well, you can just activate it directly from deck. So honestly, I'm not against it. We're playing the one Eradicator. You, like I mentioned before, you're already playing monsters that are over 2,500, either turn off spells or traps. We're playing double copies of Throw Train. So when it comes to both Throw Train and Compulsory Evacuation Device, these two cards are honestly the best cards in the deck because more than half of the time, your opponent needs the monster either in board or in graveyard to resolve their effects, right? So either you send it back to deck or you banish it into the end phase. These cards will shine the most, right? And unless your opponent is playing Flunder, which more than half of the time they're not going to be playing Flunder because you hate that deck, right? Yeah, we do. Yeah, so they don't have any effects when banished or anything like that. So honestly, it just turns off your opponent's turn, or they just are really forced to play differently as well. And with the Compulse, not once per turn, just bounce cards like sprites, you bounce back to normal. More than half of the time, they just can't pop off with their sprite cards unless they have sprite starter. But you know, we're just going based off of like what is the best thing to stop as well, right? Infinite Impermanence, mainly Infinite Impermanence, one of the best cards, right? I have no cards on board, activate it, and then you can trigger Lovely. So it's like Ultigeist Multifaker, right? Lovely and Multifaker, really like some of the best cards. And for the last card here, we're playing 15 normal trap cards, and we're playing 3 continuous. We're playing triple copies of Rivalry. So yeah, it's kind of weird where we have like Dogmatica cards. We have the Rock, which is the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, but our main strategy is Fiends. So if you're locked into Fiends, it doesn't matter because more than half of the time this is messing your opponent up over than you. So honestly, right there, it's pretty good. So that's gonna be it for the main deck. And for the extra deck, honestly, like I mentioned before, just put in whatever, but this is the cards that I decided to put in. So we're playing the 1 copy of Titaniclad. We're playing double copies of Ensis because both Punishment and the Nadir Servant, including the Ultimate Slayer that you see in the side deck over here. So you're gonna be resolving this a couple times. per duel. The one Garura for the draw 1, which is actually pretty good. Totally awesome. You just play this for the Ultimate Slayer for Xyz target, and totally also just returns itself back to the extra deck, so you're able to activate Ultimate Slayer for Xyz a couple times. And Sideframe Lord Omega. This is the best synchro one, especially that this card can shuffle back a card from your opponent's graveyard to the deck, which is actually really good more than half of the time because your opponent needs the cards in graveyard, as I mentioned before. The Fairy G for fixing your hand, like if you open up Lovely, just put it back, just get another draw. The Paleozoic Cambaroster, it protects your back row from being destroyed by banishing it from graveyard. Dark is honestly one of the best dark monsters in the best Link Charmer, so why not, right? More fiends we're playing is Nightmare Unicorn and Nightmare Griffin. Best thing about Nightmare Griffin, it sets back your back row as well from graveyard, so honestly I think that's pretty good, and especially the fact that this provides like a floodgate lock, unless if your opponent has Link monsters, they just can't activate their effects. And something else I've been testing out here is like a DDD pull because they're fiends. The Wave King Caesar climbs up to the Marksman King Tell, climbs up to the Machina X, which is actually a really good card because it kind of just steals your opponent's cards from their field. It's like a Cyber Dragon Infinity, but quick effects, so really good right there. And Exciton Knight, good times with this card back then. Not really, but this card is a fiend. This card is a rank 4. Is easy to summon. And for a potential side deck that we have over here, Lava Golem, why not play it, right? First of all, it's Fiend, where if you're locked under the Welcome Labyrinth, it doesn't really affect you. This card's a Fiend. Gets rid of 2 of your opponent's monsters. Best board breaker in my opinion. Ultimate Slayer, your extra deck is filled with it's like a toolbox where your more impactful cards. So Ultimate Slayer gets rid of cards from your opponent's not your opponent's graveyard, your opponent's field, and your opponent cannot respond to it with any monster effects whatsoever, so that's really good right there. Different Dimension Ground, especially for those strategies that need their graveyard, especially Tier Elements. This kind of just turns off their turn. Solemn Judgment protects your back row or anything like that. Soul Drain is really good because you don't have graveyard effects besides from like the Ultimate Slayer targets or their servant targets, but if you already resolve those or you're in a game state where you don't need those, it's perfectly fine to activate the Soul Drain, because one thing messes up Flunder if you go up against that deck because your opponent cannot activate banished or monsters in graveyard, so that's really good right there. Tier Elements is going to be a big thing, especially that it just got the new monster from Darkwing Blast, including the Ishizu cards that are going to be coming out in Magnificent Mavens as well. So this is my potential deck right here. Hope you guys like it. If you have any opinions or any card choices, let me know in the comments down below, and I hope you guys really like this a lot, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.